Hey everyone, Miacidae here, welcome back to Darkest Dungeon. So today on the No Hope Estate, we're going to be going into the Baron's Crimson Courtyard. This is something I haven't been looking forward to, mainly because this estate is rough, and the epic level quests are going to make it even more rough. For those of you who haven't been following along too often, those of you who are new to this estate, those of you just tuning in, or those of you who have forgotten, the rules of this estate are essentially, putting things over here, we cannot heal in battle, we cannot stress heal in battle, and we cannot use stuns in battle, limiting me to essentially a no heal estate, a no stun estate, and a no stress healing estate. I can only use curios to heal, I can only use food to heal, and camping to heal. So that makes these epic level things very hard. I have to take them in sections. Stress is going to mount up very quickly in the Crimson Courtyard, and I have very, very little options to actually control the enemies. So the one option I have is just literally taking them out before they take me out, which has worked somewhat well in most operations, but I have reservations about boss. That also being said, though, we have to take out 2 Crocodillians, I believe it is, which I have done in quests before, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue. It's just the amount of enemies I have to fight on the way, so that's why we're doing this in segments, and then the boss itself, which has its own weird little mechanics. So these are the supplies I'm going to be taking. I only plan on getting to the first Crocodillian before dipping out, if not dipping out before if things look bad. Since this is an epic level quest, I can dip out with no bad things really happening to me, except for, well, negative quirks and some diseases. So this is all the supplies we'll be taking. This is the group we'll be taking. I do have a map pulled up. For those of you who don't know, all the maps and stuff this is an old game, it has maps done it. I've done this a dozen times. Nothing's really being spoiled for me. But the group for today, we're going to be taking Evelyn, a Ripperkin. She does a lot of bleeding damage. She also can do a little bit of debuffing if I need her to. So Rip and Tear, this can be used from ranks 1 and 2, moves her forward if I need her to, and if she is in either normal or sated mode, this is a minus 25 protection debuff, and if she is in Bloodlust mode, which I'm going to pretty much be avoiding at all costs, this is a plus 40% damage versus bleeding damage. The reason we're avoiding Bloodlust mode is every single attack has a self-damage attached to it. So unless we're in a very bad spot where I really need something down very, very quickly and I'm dipping out that fight or after that fight, we're not using Bloodlust because the amount of damage she does to herself. And then I can only heal with food after the fight. We then have Blood as Fuel. She can only use this from row 1, but it bypasses and breaks guard if she's in normal or sated, and has a heavy bleed attached to it. In Bloodlust mode, it also clears any riposte an enemy has and doubles the bleed. Once again, that self-damage. We have Bloody Gust. She can use this from ranks 1 or 2. It's an AoE with a big bleed attached to it. I love it. And on kill will switch her to sated. That's how she gets that sated, so it doesn't really matter if she's in sated mode to me. It's whatever. And if I need an extra action, I can get that with Rev Up. However, if there's a heavy debuff attached to this, she loses 35% of her max health. That debuff does go away, so it's not like it's permanent, but it does last a little while, so I need to be wary about using that. And if she's at max health, she does drop that much health, so it does come with some losses. However, if she's at, like, say, half health, and I use this, she doesn't lose any health. For her trinkets, we're going to be using the Ripper Sidearm. This is plus damage received, minus 5 dodge, so it is a little risky using this. However, all her attacks are melee hits, and on melee hit, she will do an additional 3 damage, and on melee hit, she will do a 2 for 2 bleed. Then we have the Bloody Stake. This ups her bleed chance because Bloody Gust is only a 110 bleed chance. So this ups it to a 135 bleed chance and ups the bleed duration if I need it to. Next we have Celine, our Duchess. I plan on getting the Crimson Curse off of her with Vigo's Panacea here. So that will be a thing later on. Otherwise we're going to be opening up with Crimson Downpour here. This hits the back 3 rows and then ups the bleed amount they receive, while also doing a pretty heavy bleed. This has a cooldown though, so after that we'll be doing either like Feed the Beast or Thirst for Power. And then on top of that we have the Blood Charm, so this does extra damage versus anything that's bleeding, armor piercing versus anything that's bleeding, and most importantly an on-attack hit bleed. So instead of doing a 4 for 3 bleed, it'll be a 5 for 3 bleed. And then we have Nobusuma's Glare. So this ups her accuracy specifically extra if she is in beast mode, which I will need to be doing if I want that extra bleed for Crimson Downpour, an extra crit if she's in beast mode, which we will once again be doing. Because I do have Holy Water though, we are going to be taking a big hit to her max HP, as you see here. She was at 52 and she is now at 42. We then have Vigo. I brought him specifically because I want this Panacea to get rid of the Crimson Curse. However, he does have some other uses. Specifically, TikTok to make someone go faster, Enshroud to cure Bleed and Blight, and the neat one here is Implode. So if he goes first, and then Celine goes, I can make the bleed from Crimson Downpour here go from a 5 for 3 bleed that we just talked about to a 10 for 3 bleed, because it doubles the Bleed and Blight amount applied. It also doubles the Bleed and Blight amount they take and lowers the Bleed and Blight resist, but a risk I'm willing to take. And then finally we have Disrupt to bypass Stealth, Riposte, and Guard, and just finish people off. He's gonna also be my Disruptor here, so I have Aggression Tactics. This ups the monster's surprise chance, and I have a Ancestors map for Scouting and Trap Disarm. And finally we have Gen Greymane the Cursed, or the Lord of the Worgen. I'm gonna have him open with Dark Flight. This changes him into Worgen mode. This also ups damage versus anything that's bleeding. After that, it's either Razor Swipe to do bleeding damage, Dark Flight to do damage versus bleeding, or go for the Throat to do armor piercing versus anything below 50% health and damage versus bleeding. We have the Bloody Feather on him. This does extra damage versus anything bleeding, more damage if there's a corpse, and Ancestor's Letter Opener to have extra accuracy on melee skills and on hit bleed. Like I said, I don't plan on getting too far into here, just dipping our toes, seeing how bad this is gonna be, and really testing the waters and getting as far in as we can.
They would arrive in teeming hordes, adorned in powdered wigs and pretension, seeking to slake their thirst on wine and indecency. As intoxication invariably took hold, innocuous frivolities would escalate to ever more disturbing diversions. Orchestrating the hideous affair was a hunchbacked fiend who seemed to delight in proportion to the suffering he caused. I could have stopped him, I suppose, but I was a slave to my own appetites, and restraint would have rendered me a hypocrite.
So if we're the entertainment, let's give them some entertainment.
We'll play at now.
Oh, that is such a great scout. So I think I said this at the ending of the last video, but I don't plan on going to many of the side rooms here, especially because of how dangerous this is, with this estate in particular. So I plan on getting like every curio I can. Like I said, I do have a map pulled up. So if it's nothing is dangerous according to the map, I might go to a few side rooms. But other than that, I really do not plan on going to anything out of my way just because I'm beelining it to certain things. Oh, I was not planning on you going first. Oh, Gilney and Cocktail do some damage to them. I'm not going to transform them quite yet, but there's some extra damage. We are going to transform Monstrous Affliction, leave the Supplicant and the Butler, and then, for the most part, play it safe to get as far as we can, get as many heroes back out alive, things like that. That's the goal, is to get out of here alive. 12 for 3 bleed. I love it. Both of them go down. So then I can just do Blood as Fuel onto this Supplicant and he goes down. That's our fight.
Slowly, gently. This is how a life is taken.
I really expected to do the transform with Gil, or
These nightmarish creatures
again here.
felled. They can be beaten.
And end a fight that way. This is... I won't risk the 20% with the trap that spawns enemies. The other thing I'm gonna note is I brought extra torches and extra shovels for how far I planned on getting. And that is specifically because I have the Creeping Mist installed. And the Creeping Mist in here actually actually, it doesn't really matter. I think this happens in the Courtyard anyway. But the Creeping Mist can make it so any hallway obstacle can be either a shovel thing or a torch. So I don't know which is going to be which, and that switched up a few times on me on maps that I've had few different maps, and they've been wrong all the time, so I just don't rely on that anymore. Yeah, we'll definitely get the bleed on the knight there. He has a 20 bleed now. And then we'll Dark Flate him and make sure he goes down. We do have the Sycophant left, but the Supplicant does go down.
Eradicated.
And then we can blood his fuel, and I think they bleed out. So that's really what we want to be doing, is ending these fights as soon as possible. Did she just heal herself? No, she has plus max HP while she's beast, okay. So yeah, I'm not going to be going up here, I'm not going to be going down there. I think I'm just going to be going straight this way. Which we do have the secret room, which should be a locked up person. I've been pleasantly surprised before, and it could be loot.
In a single strike.
Feed the beast. We're going to Bloody Gust hitting these two. Or, you know, totally missing. That happens too. We're going to tick-tock. Implode on Celine, so we do extra bleed. We're going to hit all three of them because the Sycophant nest is so big. Transform again, and then huge bleed incoming. No, resisted the bleed. But then we can do, like, go for the throat on the Sycophant nest. Which now it bleeds out on its next turn. And then maybe we can Bloody Gust again. The Sycophant goes down. Thirst for Power brings the last Sycophant down because of the bleed. So 24, 18, yeah.
Death. Unforeseen. Unforgiving.
Definitely want these heirlooms. Money's gonna help too.
Neatly
Don't really want the citrine, but I will take it. Trying to section things off here. Yeah, so I wasn't sure if this was going to be a torch or a shovel. That's why I brought so many of the shovels and such. Oh, I walked past the room after specifically pointing it out. Okay, of all the heroes to be locked up, I was not expecting a lunar princess. Like, she could obviously fight her way out of that one. Yeah, we'll dig up this.
Glittering gold.
I definitely want this stuff. Getting rid of that citrine. That thing's worthless. And I believe it is down. I'll get all this stuff on the way back. Ooh, first socialite. Also first surprise, which is a horrible mash for me. And then Celine gets the Crimson Curse back. I should have done it at the end of the run, not the beginning.
Confusion.
Straight downpour, get a nasty bleed on all of them. So that's only 5 and 7s there. We are going to Razor Swipe these guys, because I don't want Celine going in 1. I do not believe that Evelyn can actually do anything from 3, so we're just gonna pass. Now the bad thing here is the Duchess can't move backwards either. So I'm just kind of in a bad spot here. Oh, they did get stunned, so not much I can do either way, but... Did I just get a full turn? Okay, at least my Duchess didn't get stunned, but yikes. 10, that knight goes down. I can either do Thirst for Power or Feed the Beast. Feed the... Thirst for Power would get me a damage buff. Doing a 4 bleed for 3. But Noble Obligation might take out the Socialite. Let's take out the Socialite. So now 2 of them are gone to bleed. We still have that Sycophant left. And that's not cool.
A death by inches. Press this advantage. Give them.
And that's why we brought bandages. That's why I brought extras. I can lower his damage. Or, you know, that takes him out too. We'll get rid of the bleed before it happens. Imploding. Oh, I wanted Enshroud, not Implode. Well, go for the throat.
Decimated.
Not sure how you can go for the throat on Mosquito, but, you know, whatever.
Continue the onslaught. Destroy.
Okay, default party order. Let's recover from this. With how far in I plan on getting, we're not going to be using medicinal herbs. So let's just burn that, take the onyx. I'm going to use the 2 food. I'm probably going to throw the snack sack. But we can take it for now. And I just ate until everyone was full, because that fight kinda hurt. Mainly because I realistically could not use one of my heroes that entire fight. Like, row-dependent people here kinda suck sometimes. Okay. Restocking the food. Taking the deeds. We'll take the money. Like I said, I'm gonna throw the snack sack. I don't want it. And in we go. I don't think this one's a battle. I do find it kind of funny that ever since, I don't think this is immersive backgrounds. This might just be the Courtyard Plus. But they added stuff like the Viscounts just as a normal background. Alright. Feed the beast. Get our little buddy up here. Chainsaw Snake isn't real. Chainsaw Snake can't hurt you. But it can hurt them. I need to stop with that joke. It's over a year old. We're gonna implode her. Or not implode, TikTok, and then implode on Celine. That way we do double bleed. And then we're gonna Crimson Downpour once we Affliction. That should at least take out the Supplicant, I believe, because 20 bleed. And then we're gonna Dark Flight, hitting the Knight. So row 2, row 3 down.
Annihilated.
I just love this claw and the bangles on it. Like, I do have to point this out. Look how much these bangles actually move around. That is a lot of work on the rigging's part. I love it. Okay, sorry, back to this. Taking out the supplicant. That should bleed him out, I believe. No, it doesn't quite yet. Noble obligation. Knight down. Supplicant left. And we are going to enshroud, making sure we don't bleed.
Broken. Maintain the offensive.
And then go for the throat.
As the fiend falls.
Which throat did he go for? Because there's a tick on the human. But then there's the human that he's like reanimating. So did he go for the throat, ripping the throat out of the human, making it too hard to reanimate? Or did he go for the throat of the tick, just taking the tick out? Either way, I suppose it works, but things that bug me, things that make me think, things that I probably think too much about. Okay. I want the crests. If nothing else, the amount of heirlooms you get from this is amazing. So, let's toss the money. I can get money either way, like other ways. And the amount of heirlooms that you can get from just running through this is indispensable. Okay, we gotta get stressed down here. If Selene afflicts, the run is over. Like, Vigo, maybe we can salvage things. If Selene afflicts, we are screwed. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. Why are you offering me a invitation to the courtyard if I'm already in the courtyard? You confuse me, sir. Okay, we're gonna implode. Selene. We're going to feed the beast. And then Bloody Goss, because yes, we actually can bleed the gargoyle. Too bad we missed the courtier, but we'll still get him. That probably stuns Vigo.
Cannot be left unanswered.
That's going to be more of an unfortunate stun if it lands. Right. Dark Flight hitting the courtier. He's going to bleed out if I hit with Crimson Downpour now. I mean, he probably would have anyway, but yeah, he's definitely down. Unfortunate about not bleeding the gargoyles, but it was a really low chance. So I don't have much of a chance of bleeding these two. So we're just gonna rip and tear. Yeah, we'll go at the gargoyle. That lowers their protection. Thirst for power, bleeding the sycophant. As long as it doesn't do the thirst, it bleeds out next turn, and then does Razor Swipe do enough? Probably not. So what we can do is go for the throat on a gargoyle.
Executed with impunity.
Well, I wasn't expecting to crit, but it is definitely down. Kind of surprising that a tail whip from this gargoyle can... I mean, maybe it stunned her up top, But stun the chainsaw snake there. No, McBain's the person up top. I was gonna say that it could stun McBain, but I always get those two confused. Probably do not need another invitation. I don't know how many I have, but I probably do not need another. Where am I on my map? So I need 1, 2, 3. I do 4 more rooms. I'm where I theoretically want to get to. And I'm running out of space. So let's take that emerald. We'll leave the rest. Yeah, we can take this.
A fortune.
More deeds, that's awesome. Or not deeds, crests. Now, I know there's stuff you can do around here, and technically, if you really wanted to, you can skip the Crocodillian that's around here, and you can walk around by doing some shenanigans with the map. I'm pretty sure this is a map you can do it on. Or am I already doing that? I might already be doing that because I think there might be a door right here. You might be able to also skip the Crocodillian around here, but I can't remember. I think I'm already walking around the door, though. The map I actually have pulled up right now is not showing me that. It's just telling me, go here, go here, go here. We actually need to default party order. And then you go here.
If only treasure could staunch the flow of,
you know,
otherworldly
2 bandages for the Crocodillian, in hindsight, is probably not the best idea. We'll make do, but it is probably not the best idea. Those trinkets were worthless. I've sold them already a dozen times. Yeah, like, I'm pretty sure this is the door right there if I want to go to it in probably a few room battles. How many spears do they need to be? The blood flower, right. Blood flower actually needs to go first, otherwise it summons extra stuff. So we need to implode on Celine doing bleed damage, and we need to focus the blood flower down. Ah, hell, I did the wrong attack. At least crits received, so like I can do a lot to it, but we are gonna go for throat. There we go. Because the problem with the blood flower here, if you leave it alone and deal with the other 2 things first, which are usually what I do, it bleeds out. So let's go for the strumpet. Usually what I do is I'll take out the weaker things first and leave the big chunkier thing for last. And the problem with the blood flower is if you do that, for those of you who don't know, is it has a attack, I don't remember what it's called, where it loses like negligible health. It's less than 10% of its max health, so it'll take, in this case it would take less than 6 damage. Which, think about that, less than 6 health to do this. And it will summon 2 of the sycophants, the flies, which in this case have 17 health. And it can do that as many times in a battle as you let it until it goes down. sacrifice less than 6 health to bring 34 health into a battle, and 2 more actions. Yeah, it's rough. Or it's not rough, but it's not great. Okay, so the next fight is a Crocodillian, and that's all the further I really wanted to go. And theoretically, I could just use all this food to heal. And then take the extra stuff here. Torch for the extra accuracy. So that'll get me like 3 accuracy for a battle. And I can take the extra portraits here. And then I'll give up the shovels, because I didn't know if I was going to need those or something else. And then take the Blighting Satchel for the Grave Robber, which is plus Blight Chance on friendly skill, plus Blight amount on friendly skill debuff for Blight duration. And then we'll go into the fight as best as I can go. Now what we'll do is use the Holy Waters here, and that way once I go into... we no longer have this minus max HP. Actually, we do. I guess that's quest long. Anyway. Actually, I'm wondering here. Oh, yeah. It's based on the entire quest, so if I re-equip it, I lose that health. It is for the quest. Gotcha. Sometimes that little majiggering will work. But not in this case, so... Alright, well, Crocodillian. Like I said, I don't plan on going much farther than this, and he also will give me that chest there. Will give me a Crimson Courtyard trinket, so this will be nice. We are also probably going to afflict after this, so... TikTok, we're going to go... We're going to have problems hitting him is the thing here. I have a very stupid plan. So, again, we're going to TikTok you. Then we're going to implode on Celine. I have a very stupid plan here. Affliction. Crimson Downpour. Get him bleeding. Up-bleed amount received, please. Thank you. I can actually hit him with Evelyn. I wasn't sure I was going to be able to do that. That's why I didn't TikTok her. But we can, so I'm going to Bloody Gust is only 2 more bleed, but it does a lot less damage. So Blood is Fuel does 6 to 12. Bloody Gust does 2 to 4. So I think Blood is Fuel is the right move to do here because of the upfront damage it does. And I could hit with Gan here if I did Dark Flight, but that would get Evelyn out of range. So what we're going to do is we're going to disengage. Gilnean Cocktail. And that makes him take a little damage here. I can't hit with what I want. So we're going to Quicksilver Bullet him, get rid of that dodge.
A devastating blow.
Then we're going to Disrupt him. Thirst for Power. Because Noble Obligation doesn't actually bleed much. It does lower his damage. Right? I resisted it. And then we can Blood his Fuel again. 32 bleed on him. You Teeth Rake, it's not the biggest deal. I can't Crimson Downpour him, but what I can do, because he's so low on health, is Feed the Beast. Now I do plus 50% damage on him. Dark Flight, transforming back, doing damage versus bleeding. He's bleeding for 35, he doesn't have enough health left. Disrupt. Crocodillian down. Now, technically, I could continue.
Remind yourself that overconfidence
But
is
I
a
have
slow
no
and
supplies
insidious
left.
killer.
I'm about to afflict on 2 heroes. This is a good stopping point. We got the Aromatic Sparks for the Estranged. This is plus 10 accuracy. Scraping Augur gets plus 30% damage. Scraping Augur has minus 300% debuff chance, so it will not debuff at all. It also does much more stress. Washed ashore amongst an unfamiliar place. Where are we? You have the set. This is plus 4 speed and plus 10 dodge. I'll take that. I'm gonna get rid of the bandages for now, and we're leaving the citrine. There's also the Forgotten Strong box. You are sure this box holds something worthy of your accomplishments. Which, fabricated map for the Trapper. Plus 15% scout chance, plus 25% monster surprise chance, and plus 10% stress. A pathetic end to a miserable life. If you get this set, it's plus 15% max HP and plus 20% protection, which goes very well into his guard with the, I forget what the trap actually is, but you can set up a riposte trap of his. It's actually really nice. So we'll take that. 2 Crimson Court trinkets, a few other trinkets, a lot of heirlooms, a little bit of money. I'm happy with this. And yes, we will retreat. I don't know why it says that there.
We may learn to pick ourselves
Instead of, like, failed, it's a regroup. So we do take all the money. We got 5,000 gold, which isn't much, but it's something. And then all the frickin' heirlooms. I'm happy with that run. I'm happy with the progress. I was half expecting not to make it to the Crocodillian. So that's 36 crests, 6 deeds, 8 portraits, 6 busts. Amazing. No one leveled up because we didn't get experience. Black Plague on Gen Greymane, NUI on Vigo, Guild member on Evelyn. And a lot of people need stress relief as is too.
in time. You will know the tragedy.
Lantern Festival in the Sunward Isles, so plus stress relief received on Sunward Isles in the next quest, minus torch burn rate on Sunward Isles. Okay. Alright, so how we're gonna do this is the Pernicosis is still in there. I was gonna send Evelyn and Celine in here, but Pernicosis is still in. And Evelyn won't do anything in the bar. She really doesn't need too much stress relief. So what we can do is send Celine to the bar. Scare the hell out of the bartender because all she'll drink is beer. Vigo gets NUI off. Gen gets Black Plague off. Scarier place than you'd think if you get both the Crimson Curse and the Black Plague in the Courtyard, but, you know, whatever. Stagecoach, I'm looking for some specific people, and I am not finding them. We have a Trapper, right? Yeah, we have Verse still. We did get Pep on, but I have... Ronnie here has Hot to Trot and Quick Reflexes, on top of a few other things. So it's like, there's no way I'm trading out this stacked Lunar Princess for one just to level them up for like one resolve experience. That's not worth it. So I would like to continue into the Courtyard. I'm not sure it's going to be a thing just because of like viable groups. If I'm being totally honest, I'm sure I could put together like one or two more and get a bit farther in there, but I also want to keep an eye on available trinkets, things like that in the surrounding areas. Like the ancient dragon claw here is something that I always had an eye on, so that might be something I go and get, because that's another fun one that I've always wanted to try, and I think it's been reworked a little bit. Yeah, I think the move resist debuff to it works a little better. So that might be fun to try, because I know we have a backup White Priestess. I actually need to rename her, but getting this to try out now that it's been reworked is something I've really wanted to try and would be kind of fun with this estate. There also is that Kindred of Rot's Exaltation, but the extravagant prize might be a little wonky. So there's a few things around that I want to go get, so probably not the Baron immediately, which also gives everyone a chance to rest up and recover, which actually is probably a good thing. So, we got options. I'll figure something out for next time and go from there. So, that'll be it for this time. Like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz, and otherwise, as always, I wish you all well. I'll see you next time, and please, have a good one.